What if creation wasn't just a single event, but a process, a slow unfolding of potential that was designed from the very beginning? Well, today we're diving into a fascinating text that explores that exact idea, a kind of divine architecture of potential.
So the story kicks off right at the dawn of time. According to this text, God designated a specific volume of space, filled it with pure, raw energy, and basically imprinted his blueprint for the entire universe onto it. Then, at his command, that energy started to transform, decaying into the very first fundamental particles that would build everything we know. And that brings us to the first major phase of creation, what the text calls the first decree. This is the moment when all that invisible potential starts to become a real, physical, cosmic blueprint.
So how did this blueprint actually unfold? Well, the text describes this incredible cosmic chain reaction. Tiny little variations in that initial energy field, what scientists call anisotropies, they acted like seeds. These seeds allowed matter to start clumping together, forming the vast nebula and galaxies we see today. And inside the fiery cores of these new structures, the very elements of the universe were being forged.
Now, this whole process wasn't instantaneous. It was this grand, cosmic maturing process. The source explains that as the periodic table filled out with more and more elements, and as generations of galaxies began to stabilize, the conditions were finally right to support organic life as we understand it. So, with the cosmic stage perfectly set, a whole new act in this divine drama could begin, and that's the emergence of life, described here as the second design phase. With everything in place, the text says God kicked off this second design phase, the miracle of life. And all of a sudden, something completely new emerged in the universe, the complex machinery of life. We're talking DNA, proteins, amino acids, all the fundamental building blocks that, as far as we know, only exist right here on Earth.
And right here, we see that core idea of potential again. A single, simple process, this chain of acids, that is common to every single living thing, held within it the blueprint for an absolutely staggering amount of diversity. From this one shared origin, all the countless varieties of life on Earth had the potential to emerge.
From the vast potential of life, we now zoom in on an even more specific potential. Let's move to the third design stage, the mind of mankind.
So a third design stage is declared, and out of it comes what makes mankind so peculiar, this unique blend of physical form and cognitive power. And this is the key distinction. Humanity is described as the only form of life that can look beyond just surviving the present moment. We can actually consider what we can or should do in the future, not just what we must do right now.
And get this, the emergence of human consciousness is said to have happened in a geological blink of an eye. The text even uses the language of a family tree to drive this home. Each age begets the next. It's presented as this necessary, culminating process, with humans as the apex result of life on Earth. So across these three incredible stages, from cosmic dust all the way to conscious thought, is there a single unifying principle that ties it all together? The text says yes, and it even gives it a name. The principle is called fieri ex potentia. It's Latin, and it translates to becoming from potential. It's this core idea that creation isn't a one-and-done event, but a continuous, almost serendipitous process of things emerging from a pre-existing design.
Now, what's really fascinating is how this theological framework seems to align with our current scientific understanding, but also go beyond it. The timeline in the text largely mirrors what science tells us about the history of the universe, but it also offers an explanation for the three great mysteries that science is still trying to solve: the very beginning of everything, the origin of life from non-life, and the emergence of consciousness. And that brings us to the final phase, the age we are supposedly living in right now, the Great Rest, which is called the current age of interaction.
So what does this Great Rest really mean? Well, the text suggests that the major foundational phases of creation are complete. The world has reached a kind of designed maturity. In this current age, God isn't adding new fundamental constructs to reality. Instead, He's interacting with the world as it already is.
So His efforts are focused purely on what's needed to sustain this world and its inhabitants, to ensure the whole design continues on until this period of rest finally comes to an end.